where we will be hosting webinars on various topics throughout the summer. I would like to direct you to our website at www.secnav.navy.mil/small business, where you can find a wealth of information, including our Navy's Small Business Program Operations Plan. You can locate your small business professional and find more information on how to do business with the Department of Navy, including our long-range acquisition forecast. To learn more about upcoming events, I encourage you to connect with us on social media. On our Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube platforms, where we will be highlighting more information about our webinar series, as well as information on upcoming events. So speaking of upcoming events, I'd like to highlight the Navy's Small Business Program procurement event, Navy Gold Coast, which was going to be held August 31st through September 2nd. It will now be a virtual event, so stay tuned for more information. Our upcoming webinar will be the July the 9th, where we will highlight the Marine Corps Systems Command, featuring the Small Business Director, Mr. Kyle Beagle, and his Executive Director, Mr. Williford, to discuss the future of the U.S. Marine Corps and where small businesses can play a role. You can register for this event on the home page of our website. For today's speaker, I'd like to thank Mr. Shannon Jackson for joining us today. Mr. Jackson is a retired Lieutenant Colonel of the U.S. Army, where he served for 23 years. Thank you for your service, sir. Currently, he serves as the Deputy Director for the Department of Defense's Office of Small Business Programs, where he leads a network of 700 small business professionals across the department. He ensures they leverage DOD's small business industrial base to contribute to military readiness, introduce innovation to build a more lethal force, and provide timely and cost-effective products and services. I will be turning it over to Mr. Shannon Jackson, and thank you again, sir, for joining us today.
I want to thank everybody. Arvis, thank you for the introduction. It's truly a pleasure it's truly a pleasure to talk to the folks out there in the workforce, again, on some of the initiatives that we're doing here from our office in OSBP. And it's just a great time. One I definitely want to do is make sure everybody's being safe during this COVID time frame. You know, once we get back up and running, you know, as a department, you know, again, there's a lot of things that are happening. So one of those things is this Project Spectrum, the cybersecurity initiative that we have really taken a hold of with inside of our office. And Arvis and Mr. Smith asked me to come and talk to you guys about one of the projects from this office that we're really trying to honcho and really get out there to that small business community as well as our workforce. Next slide. Just a quick, really just to lay out. Next slide. Okay, so in 2019, the department was really asked to look at how do we train our defense industrial base on the cybersecurity stuff. How do we educate them? How do we try to ensure they're prepared to be a part of our div? One of the programs that Congress basically said to utilize was the DOD Mentor Protege program. In the last 2 years, we have really tried to utilize the Mentor Protege program to actually expand that network, to drive change, to educate our defense industrial base on these cybersecurity initiatives that the department is pushing down on our contractors. One of the biggest pieces of that was when we looked at it in our first year, we had 2 efforts. Our first effort was actually with Northrop, where we utilized our program to train over 5,000 small businesses on cybersecurity, cyber awareness, cyber hygiene. Also, with that, we partnered with U.S. Cyber Command and a Dreamport organization to really look at how do we target our manufacturing companies and then try to drive change there. And we were able to really get at about 2,000 manufacturing companies in our industrial base to help educate them and try to better prepare them for the next level, which is CMMC, NIST 800, 171. So last year, our efforts really were truly trying to provide that capability to our defense industrial base. And as we moved into 2020, one of the things we really tried to do was to look at utilizing another platform, which that's how Project Spectrum came about. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so Project Spectrum, again, we with our partnership with U.S. Cyber Command Dreamport. Project Spectrum was really developed to try to, one, educate, provide awareness on cybersecurity, provide an ecosystem where small businesses can come and learn about all of the things that are going on in the department regarding cybersecurity. Also with the cybersecurity maturity model certification, and really try to grow that network to help better prepare them as the department rolls out the cybersecurity, the CMMC standards that they will start enforcing through some of the contracts that the department has. One of the things that I really like about Project Spectrum and what I've been focused on the last couple of months is really leveraging strategic partnerships within and outside of DOD to help accelerate our cybersecurity education and compliance with the DIB. And you'll see later on some of the strategic partners that we are engaging now in order to help build that network. One of the things that I would ask that the community, the small business professionals, when you're talking about cybersecurity, we definitely want your industrial base that support your local areas to really log in and register for Project Spectrum IO, because this will create that environment where you have a dashboard, you have a marketplace, there's things that we're doing regarding a pilot program, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But the overall platform is really to build that ecosystem, to get lessons learned, to provide data, to provide tools that the department has done an evaluation on, and look at what's best for your company, and as you participate in opportunities within inside of the department. Next slide. Next, okay. So I really wanted to show just, again, I think the beauty of the cybersecurity maturity model certification process, it really lays out each of the levels, but it's in concert with NIST 800, 171. So people think that it's two different things. It really is not. It's just breaking it down in simplified form for small businesses to understand wherever the arena that I'm playing in, I know what it takes to get there. Whether you're looking at your level 1 company or you're looking at a level 5 company, you know what you have to do. And I think out of every report that I have read regarding cybersecurity and cyber hygiene, it really talks about the education of the workforce, education of the small business to be able to address those issues with the compliance regarding cybersecurity. I think truly one of the things that the CMMC model really ties to is really helping do that. Because think about it, a lot of the companies in everybody's industrial base possibly fall into level 1, between level 1 and level 3. And it depends on what you're doing for the department on how they apply those different levels. And then the second piece of that is really us from a government perspective, understanding when we're going out for those requirements, understanding what level that these companies need to be at, and then having them understand how to get there. And one of the things that I think Project Spectrum does is educate that community, knowing what they have. Next slide. So Project Spectrum in a big picture, one of the things when you go to the website for Project Spectrum, it really focuses on outreach to other DOD programs that support small business, our partnerships with the PTACs and our industrial associations, really getting the word out to know that there is a place for small businesses to come get their educational needs as it relates to cybersecurity, and then training resources, information on different tools that are out there in the marketplace. It gives it a one-stop shop. But having a one-stop shop, you need to have critical partners that are supporting this effort in order to make this all work. With the PTACs and their network, with the industrial partners that we have out there, the associations, trying to get them to understand that here's a place, not the end all be all, but a place where now we can get information on the latest and greatest cyber stuff. There's training resources we're focusing on. Later on, we'll tell you a lot about the training resources that we are working on right now. We are working with our PTACs. I just established a relationship now with the SBDCs to really host co-located events to help educate their DIB as well, to really try to bring awareness and try to support each of these programs. Next slide. So I talked about the partnerships. I think that there's two types of partners. One, you have those partners, internal and external, and then you have those industry partners. So when I look at the partnerships that we've established now, as you know, we're the Small Business Office. We're always going to work with SBA, but when you start to target the things that the department is looking for to help build their industrial base, and as you know, even in your own agencies, when you look at your industrial base makes up of manufacturing companies, innovation, R&D companies, knowledge-based services. So there's three areas that everybody is really focusing in on, in a sense, when you look at your industrial base. And some of the strategic partners with the NIST folks, with the 800, 171, we're partnering with them really to help make sure that whatever we're discussing within inside of Project Spectrum, we make sure that there's a good quality link to ensure that whatever information that they're getting, we're providing fresh. Our relationships with U.S. Cyber Command, as we've partnered with an organization called Dreamport, we really are looking at how we continue to look at different tools, provide outreach events, provide information to help support our industrial base and what their needs are regarding that cyber education and that workforce. One of the other groups that we're partnering with and we're going to be meeting with here very soon is those manufacturing MEPs, manufacturing enhancement programs that really go after those manufacturers. One of the things that I've realized in this big thing is if we're targeting manufacturers, you need to have the people who are experts in manufacturing to be a part of your team. So if there's resources that are out there that they provide, let's make sure we have that teaming arrangement where now we can literally hand off that company to a manufacturer expert to help them in their cyber compliance. Excuse me. And then the other piece is, so I meet on a regular basis with the accreditation board. As some of you might know, the accreditation board is really setting the path on how we get those level 1 through 5. So I have literally partnered. I have a great relationship with the accreditation board. We're aware of everything that they're doing. They're aware of everything we're doing, and to see where everything aligns of how when the CMMC is actually rolled out, it goes through the FAR process and everything, then we will all be in line with that. And one of the things that we're trying to do is really try to help bridge that gap for our industry partners as it relates to the accreditation board. The last partnership that I like to talk about is with our historically Black colleges and universities. One of the initiatives that we have actually partnered with is NSA. And NSA is actually establishing a program called Cybersecurity Education Diversity Initiative, where we're looking at HBCUs to help build that infrastructure of cybersecurity awareness or trained college students as they roll out to be a part of that workforce. And it's a twofold thing, because one, when you look at one of the executive orders that the department is challenged with, is really working with our HBCUs. This is a great way that we're trying to build that partnership with the HBCUs by working with NSA on a cybersecurity education diversity initiative to help build that workforce through some of the HBCUs that are in the program. So I'm very happy about that, because one of the things that we're trying to do with that effort is, inside of our pilot program, is utilize those interns to actually be a part of some of those small businesses that are really trying to get prepared for CMMC or just understand cyber awareness and cyber hygiene. Next slide.
Shannon, while we're moving to the next slide, we have 2 questions. Will CMMC accreditation become a requirement in future acquisitions for small businesses?
That is right now, Arvish, that is the current plan. There is a DFARS case out right now that is going through the process. So it will be a requirement. One of the things that, just to tag on to that, one of the things that we're trying to do is work in a pilot to test out the accreditation board, to test out the process of how they put it in requirements. And this is driving what we're trying to do with our pilot program. So to answer the question, yes, that is the plan. Still a little ways away, but we're working towards that.
Thank you, sir. One more question. Can Project Spectrum help offer guidance to a small business on obtaining getting into the CYBER program in any of the agencies?
No, Project Spectrum can't help them get into a CYBER program. Is it really, so I would ask if they can really clarify that. We do, one of the things that we have done, I've met with the R&E folks. I am trying to bring SBIR companies that are going after SBIRs or who have SBIRs into the Project Spectrum network, because they're going to need some help as well. And with the Project Spectrum is, if a technology is identified through a SBIR and that capability is something that the department wants, then having them a part of this Project Spectrum program and really having them understand what their requirements are regarding when that product does go to commercialization and is put on one of those platforms, you are in that mix where you need to be and know what you need to do to get your product to a a cyber compliance to be able to provide it to the department. So we are working with SBIR folks. We're going to bring them on as a teammate with this project, but getting into SBIR is probably not. We don't do that. Only thing we do is if you have a technology, the folks that we have on the ground can definitely discuss or help, or at least talk to you about what needs to be done regarding how to secure what you have. Over.
Great, thank you, sir. Back to your slides.
Okay. So as I talked to you guys before, and the Navy is one of my partners in the Minute Protege program, so they participate. We talked about some of the internal partners. Here's some of our external partners, which is our industrial base. And these are our large primes, and this really ties to the Minute Protege program and the pilot that we're really trying to push forward, just because these are some of the players that's playing on some of your platforms from the Navy perspective. So we wanted to show you, here's all of the folks that we're dealing with on a regular basis. Now, how do we help that industrial base through a pilot project? Next slide. So one of the things that, I've sat down, I've met with Katie Harrington on several occasions and really tried to say, hey, listen, I think our pilot program could really help the department in a sense of really a couple things. One is validating, or at least knowing what companies need at each level, because if we use a Minute Protege program to do that, that is a way that we can gauge where some of those companies are and where they need to go or what they need to do, and then get them there and then show what it takes to get them there. The pilot project was really to focus on, again, as I said before, everybody is really focused on manufacturing companies, research and development, and knowledge-based services sector to support your agencies. Don't know too many other places, but if you look at the main thrust of what we do from a department standpoint, manufacturing, that hits our companies that are making those products to support our platforms. Research and development, those are our innovative, non-traditional folks that are trying to develop something that could be a part, whether standalone system or a part of one of our major platforms. And then knowledge-based services are those IT, those maintenance companies that are providing maintenance on platforms, or just a variety of supports the department. I think another piece of the pilot program was really to increase the Minute Protege participants' compliance. Given that our program has been in existence for over 30 years, we have some critical small businesses that are in there. One of the companies that the Navy, I think, is probably one of my agreements, is with and a company EI. And what's so EI is they producing components for some of our major platforms for the department, which is critical. But they need to be at a certain level to help sustain that for the future. And this is a great opportunity for them to do it. One of the things that I did talk about earlier, out of every report that I've read regarding cybersecurity, was the education of that DIB partner to know what level he or she needs to be at in order to stay compliant with the department's requirements and standard. One of the things too is, one of the things that we're focused on in this pilot is really trying to get one cohort of companies to go through this process, and then at the end be evaluated by the first class of accreditation folks or companies that are supporting the department's efforts. Next slide.
Okay, couple questions before we move on.
Okay.
Is there a list or somewhere that one of these small businesses can go to find out more information on the NSA program and those partnerships? There are HBCUs that are working in specific areas. We have a small business that's in the Philadelphia area and looking to see, is there an HBCU working with the NSA program in that area?
I believe Cheney is in Philadelphia, but if you're trying to look at so NSA has this thing called Academic Center of Excellence program. This is where all of the universities, not just HBCUs, MIs, all universities are whoever's have been certified in this program. NSA, you go to the NSA site or just look up Academic Excellence, NSA Academic Excellence Program, and they will come up. You'll get to the link to get to the program that actually offer that the company, not the companies, but the universities are in, and then it tells you what things that they're doing for NSA.
Great, thank you, sir. Another question. Are you targeting specific NAICS for the pilot program and or the overall project spectrum?
So what we're targeting is, one target is I am trying to get all of the new mentor protege agreements to participate in this program. How we're looking at it is manufacturing, research and development, and knowledge-based services. So if you fall in any of those categories and you are in the mentor protege program, then we're trying to look at it. So let me just be very clear to everybody on the call. We have a pilot, but then there's a separate side of just general registration and what you're going to be offered. So there's two things that's going on here. I have a regular Project Spectrum, and then I have the Project Spectrum Plus, which I'm just calling it Plus right now, which is the particular pilot. And that's really geared towards the mentor protege folks. But the Project Spectrum website database information is for everybody, but for the particular areas that we're focused in on to help the department. So again, it's not limited, but long as you register, your industrial-based registers, they're going to get instant information. They're going to get feedback. They're going to get things. But then if RVs and then, whoever they put in their mentor protege program, and it's not going to be all of them, but they will have a group that will participate in the pilot that they select that participates in the pilot. So anybody can join. We're not holding people out of the overall Project Spectrum framework, but particular for the pilot, that is, we're trying to utilize the mentor protege and its infrastructure to really help try to bridge that gap. So whatever we learn in that pilot will be transitioned over to the main organization or the main project. Does that answer the question, RV?
Yes, it does. Thank you, sir. And then you sparked a lot of interest in the mentor protege program. The callers are listening and want to know, how do we initiate a mentor protege program? So I'll talk to the Department of Navy. You can visit our website. We have a mentor protege section on our website, or you can contact our mentor protege program manager to learn more information. And we will post her contact information in the chat area. So with that, I'll turn it over to you to talk to DOD, OSBP, and the mentor protege program overall.
Okay, so really the biggest thing about our program is one of the things the mentor protege program from a DOD standpoint is we've established 3 areas that we're looking for that really align with the department's mission and really supporting the defense industrial base. which is the manufacturing side, the R&D side, and the knowledge-based services side. The program has been in existence for about 30 years. We just got reauthorized last year, 2020, and we're in the process of actually doing an announcement now. I think the Navy is working through their process now to identify potential mentor protege agreements and bringing those on board by the end of the fourth quarter. That's the goal, just because every new agreement now is only the time frame for that agreement is only 2 years. It used to be 3 years, but it's only 2 years now. So we are trying to really look at the 2-year process with the agreement, just to make sure that we have everything in line. And Project Spectrum is one of those initiatives that we are offering to all new agreements, that they will participate in to help us grow, get some data, and help us really plan for the future regarding cybersecurity, cyber hygiene, cyber awareness, and cyber training. And then the overall piece of the program, you know, there's a lot of things we're measured by how we impact that industrial base, whether through employee growth, number of dollar growth. We have established some brand new standards, really tying it more to how many of the programs are aligned with our industrial base, i.e. some of our research and development projects, our manufacturing areas that we have challenges in, and then looking at those knowledge-based services that tie to a lot of our other sustainment of platforms and stuff like that. Next slide.
So can we go back to CMMC? And I know each company is going to be different, but the participants are looking to, is there an expected cost and what opportunities there are to be reimbursable for gearing up in implementation of CMMC?
So that's a two-part question. So one of the things that Ms. Harrington has stated on a regular basis is that they're working to get this to be an allowable cost and in those contracts. So, but I still believe even if it's allowable cost, it is a cost that it should be a cost that companies should now start to plan in to their overall structure. It's the similar, in my mind, I look at this similar to CMMI. You know, companies have to, when they become a CMMI level 3, there is a cost that to help maintain that level 3 standard. There is a cost to help maintain, you know, that. This is another cost of doing business with the department and knowing what that cost is up front and now projecting it out is going to be critical. So even before, you know, here's where I think the challenge is when you look at trying, how do companies budget for requirements of doing business for the department? Because it's not going away. It's something that is going to be put in contracts in the future. How do we plan for it? And I think that's where the small business professionals, the contracting officers, really that workforce needs to, one, know what's out there, know what is required, you know, and that's twofold. One, the government needs to know what's required, and then the contractor needs to know what's required. So, and knowing that CMMC is going to be rolled out and there's going to be a future cost, we just don't know what that really is, because, you know, what I've heard on the several occasions in the last couple of years, folks are paying a lot of money for nothing to say that you're NIST compliant, and they find out they're not NIST compliant. Now we have something to validate this in a sense of how do we work towards that? And what I would be telling small businesses today is, hey, listen, this is going to be a cost of doing business with the department. How do we program up front? Because if I go after a requirement and I need to be level 3 and I'm level 2, I need to factor that in to that proposal, or I need to look at what it takes to get me to level 3, and then do I have the resources internally so I'm prepared to do that. So again, it goes back that, you know, RVs, I hope that there's a couple pieces that I want to be clear about. I think that CMMC it's going to be a cost that folks will have to start to plan in their own budgets for. Because after the hand holding is over, it's something that you're going to have to plan for. It's another thing that you're going to have to budget for in your resources and doing business with the department. You're going to have to do that. It's similar like the CMMI, that folks, if they want to maintain that level 3 development and services, they make sure that they pay that yearly fee. This will probably be similar. The second thing is, you know, as we work through how the process of the department will utilize these as allowable costs, that's still, you know, they're still working through that process. But at least we know that right now they're looking at having that as an allowable cost. So did that answer the question?
Yes, it did, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Next question.
Next question.
Oh, okay. I thought it was another question. I see
Yes.
there was another.
Allowable cost is a one-time fixed fee. What if the company doesn't pass and needs another audit? So I know those are some things that we're still working through, but do you have any insight into that?
So here are some things that we have. So one of the things, and hopefully, you know, Project Spectrum, because if a company doesn't pass, the reason why the company doesn't pass is that maybe they don't know what is required. They might not have all the necessary resources in place, and they realize and they just identified that, and they have to make some adjustments. I think in that's a difficult one. I mean, I think if a company doesn't pass, then what projects like Project Spectrum and what we're trying to do is educate them on everything that they need to do, but they have to take an active role in this process. You know, if you fail something, don't you go back and look at what you didn't know, study it, so for the next time you're better prepared to take that test. So the reason why I should have I had another chart that I spoke to some of the industry folks recently about, was some of the reasons why folks fail is not putting, if somebody comes to evaluate you and not putting the fixes in place that were identified from your previous evaluation. You know, one of the things that I think that has been critical is our partnership with DCMA. DCMA has been really going out assessing companies. You know, one of the things Project Spectrum offers is those assessment tools. They provide some of those assessments that self-assessment tools that you can do a self-assessment and know where you currently stand on just maybe just a 17 task for level 1. You know, as you get higher in there, there's going to be more challenges there that you're going to need some assessment and information. Project Spectrum can help provide that understanding through some of the training events that we're having throughout the year. So in a nutshell, I think that companies are going to have to plan accordingly for the future and budget accordingly. And then whatever resources that they're needing, you know, Project Spectrum is just one resource, but there's all of the strategic partners that I am trying to tag with. I am trying to build that ecosystem. So if you're a manufacturing firm, you have a place to go that can help, because they have resources out there too. You know, the MEPs that I've been working with, one up in Michigan, they don't have a lot of money, but they are helping those companies that come to them that have manufacturing challenges. You know, there's potential grants for the future that are going to be out there. So there's a lot of things that is happening. We're trying to be the one ecosystem, or at least one of those players to help people understand what's out there and resources that are available. Over.
Thank you. And so we do have two questions. We have a lot of our small business professionals listening in, and one of their questions is, do we plan to have a DAU course to help the DOD acquisition professionals learn more about CMMC requirements in the acquisition process?
So two things. So recently our Office of Small Business Programs, and I can work with Mr. Smith and our VEAS to look at hosting another, we did a maybe I think it was a 3-hour or 2-hour cybersecurity boot camp.
Yes.
To help educate our workforce. I can work with the Navy to do another one to help educate the workforce. Remember last year, we did have a cybersecurity from DAU come out and train during our training week last year, which was a great opportunity that we had them come in, tell you what was going on. You know, now we can increase what that is. And as we prepare for our FY20 Small Business Training Week, we can look at maybe adding that course, taking one off. I did recommend that to the planning committee yesterday about adding cybersecurity on there because it wasn't on there. I think it would be a great topic to know where we're going, what we're doing, who's doing what to who, you know, better educate you on what's going on and what you need to be prepared for in the field. So there are training resources for the department. I need to check with DAU to see if they finished rolling out that cybersecurity course that they were doing a while ago. You guys last year at the training week, you were able to get a good portion of that during that session where we had the folks from DAU come out and train on the cybersecurity. Over.
So just to clarify, the training is available not just to the small business professionals, but we have a PTAC that's on the line that wants to make sure that they are have the opportunity to do the training as well. That is correct.
Yes. So we have been the last couple of weeks, in one of the slides at the end, we have worked with the PTACs, and depending on the PTACs that have called in or at least message sent the question, we have a list of PTACs that we're working with directly to host educational events on cybersecurity. So we can do what we need to do to help educate our workforce as well as educate our defense industrial base.
Thank you. One more question about CMMC. It appears that some of the contractors are requiring their subs to be CMMC certified today. Is that correct? What's that timeline?
I think that's incorrect, because there's no CMMC certification yet, because we don't have the people to go out and assess. Correct. And if somebody's doing that, you need to tell them that's not true. Because right now the department we're still under the same thing we've been under for a while, is the self-certification. Whoa, hold on. The self-certification to ensure folks are cyber compliant. Until the accreditation board launches the first companies that can actually assess small businesses and determine their cyber level, nobody can do that right now. So that is an incorrect statement. Over.
Thank you, sir. Next slide.
Oh, okay. All right. I saw another question. Okay, next. These really just break down the areas. The first area I talked about was of manufacturing. Second area was research and engineering. And then the third area is the knowledge-based services. Low-hanging fruit for those knowledge-based services, because again, they're not providing any products, but they're providing manpower, and they still have their infrastructure as a company that they need to be ready for. And one of the things Project Spectrum is focused in on is educating them, providing necessary resources, having them understand what they need to protect, how they need to protect it, and ensure that they're doing what they need to do from a program perspective. Okay, next slide. In any program or any pilot, you always got to have what are the objectives. Again, I want to, from a pilot perspective, increase the cyber awareness, security awareness of our industrial base. I want to make sure that really whatever companies that are in our program are ready for the NIST 800-171. They're prepared for the CMMC accreditation, which is no different. It's just a level of where they need to be at as it relates to the NIST 800-171. And then have a community of small businesses that are learning from each other, providing best practices to share their experience and what it took for them to get where they are in their cyber compliance, and preparing them to be a part of that industrial base. And then, I think the value to the small businesses is continuous engagement, creating that ecosystem. You'll see last year we hit 7,000 total, 7,500 and some odd companies. We want to grow that to 10,000 this year. And then we want to have a ecosystem that has a industrial base of over 100,000. So there's a lot of things we're trying to get at. Next slide, please. And here's what I was just saying. We want to educate over 10,000. We're on a glide path, but we need your help out there in the field. Any companies that are coming to you, the first thing, you remember I told you guys last year during the training week was, hey, here's another tool in your kit bag. And what all I'm asking you to do is really, when you're talking about cybersecurity with your industrial base, here's a resource that is out there for you guys to use in order to help them understand what they need to do to be prepared for the future. The second piece of it is creating that community. Our goal is really to get over 100,000 in an ecosystem, to be able to share what challenges are out there, what's going on in the industry. How we get better at this is going to take a community. It's not going to be one company, it's going to be a community effort. And then the other piece to that is looking at those resources. With this Project Spectrum, we really are trying to look at a marketplace where people can go to get information on potential tools, capability that's out there, ask questions about systems that people are trying to sell. We're just trying to give them a environment where they don't, before they spend some money, they're doing their research. And we, from a department standpoint, is helping with some of the research in the sense of understanding what's in the market. everybody might not need a full up system. Maybe they need a partial. What does partial look like? So having that ability to do that is going to be critical. Next slide. In summary, so a lot of things. Project Spectrum again is, you know, we're working closely with the accreditation board. Everything that NDAA 2019 asked us to do, I think we're doing it, and we're doing it very well. Just because we continue to grow our network with the DIB and providing those necessary resources. My goal for this pilot is to whoever participates in that mentor protege program and they are a part of this effort, is they get that when the accreditation board rolls out, they're in that line to be ready to be certified. And I gauge success on the folks that get certified the first time goes. Okay. You know, again, as I said, products that we're looking at, you know, creating that community, that marketplace, assist small business and finding local solutions. That's critical to me. And then last, you know, I do want to, at the end of the day, from a department standpoint, we want to ensure that we bring down risk on any type of program. And having companies that are certified and qualified to do business with the department will make a true difference in the long run. So that is it. Next slide real quick.
One quick question.
A quote. Okay,
I'm sorry.
no problem.
One quick question,
Yes.
Shannon. Is there a training for a company's program manager on how to review contracts in their statement of work for what control unclassified information may be associated with the contract, so that they can properly relate to their company what this controlled unclassified information is and what they can do and can't do or share with other companies?
Is there a class? Is that what they're asking?
Yeah, so is there some training that maybe they can go to do that?
So what I would recommend, company-wise, I still will go to Project Spectrum. We do have a lot of experts that we are utilizing that know about resources that are out there and information that they need to be provided or prepared for the future. So registering for Project Spectrum and poison and hitting them with that question will be a great way of knowing if what we're putting in place is working. Over.
And one more thing I would add is that the Defense Acquisition University is also an option. Contractors can enroll if space is available in our DAU classes. So encourage you in our Department of Navy Small Business Program Operations Guide. It'll tell you information on how to go about registering for a DAU course, which might help you with that. Over.
So the one thing I do owe you guys is a updated sheet because this looks like it takes us out. The last one is tomorrow, but I know that they're hosting them throughout July timeframe with our new partnership with the SBDCs. We're doing a collaborative event with the PTACs and the 26 SBDCs. So we're tying with them to bring their network, and the PTACs to bring their network to host some training events in July all the way through the fall. Over.
One more question, Shannon. If a mentor protege program partner approaches one of the companies, is there any resources that discuss how to best prepare for the conversation and evaluation? Is there any boilerplate resources that help small businesses reduce the risk when engaging? So on our website, under the mentor protege, I think we've had it listed here. It's listed in the chat feature. We do have a guidebook for the Men of Protege program and doing business with the Navy. So you can take a look at that. There's some resources there, but that's specific for the Navy. Anything on your OSD website?
No, not that we have anything like that.
Okay.
What I would advise them to do is when they're selecting a mentor, or when a mentor is selecting a protege, and vice versa, is they got to ensure that what they're going after aligns with each other. You know, we don't want agreements where they were just in it for whatever reason and they have no relationship. It has to be a good quality relationship to know what needs to happen with the different agreements. And if you only know partial and you don't know all, and you just reaching across the line, then it doesn't make any good for anybody. So, yeah, I think that they just need to make sure when they're accepting a mentor, they're doing the due diligence that what they're looking for aligns with the other person and vice versa. Over.
Great, thank you. And that's it, that what we have for slides, and it looks like questions. One more question. Can we go to the SBA website and read about the Men of Protege program to prepare SBA offers any training on this? So the SBA Men of Protege program and our DOD Men of Protege program, can you talk a little bit about the difference in the two?
Two differences is the bottom line is our program is separate from theirs. And what the fundamental difference is, our program really wants that industrial base that's going to help with our mission set. Their program really focuses on that partnership, then going after opportunities, contract opportunities. Ours has that ability to do that, but we're trying to get the long-term partner, growing our industrial base to now be able to take what they've learned from the Raytheon, Lockheed, Boeing, and then be able to transition that into being one of our future primes on products that we have from a department standpoint and provide that necessary capability to our industrial base. So, and then the one fundamental difference is our program is funded and theirs is not.
Great.
So I hope I answered that question.
Yes, yes, and I don't see any other questions. So unless you have some parting words, I'd like to say thank you very much, Shannon, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today.
I want to thank the, okay, I'm sorry, Arvis.
That's fine. I appreciate your taking time.
Hey, no problem, man. I really appreciate all of the great questions. I appreciate the interaction. Again, a lot of you out there have my contact information. So if you ever had a question about Men of Protege, Project Spectrum, please feel free. And I know Arvis and Mr. Smith will pass that information out as well. And again, what I urge everybody to do is have your industrial base register for this Project Spectrum. This could be a potential, in my mind, a game changer for the future, because if we can prove out success on a project that the Congress asked us to do, then the funding will come to really expand it, and then with the partnerships will help grow it. So again, I want to thank Arvis and I want to thank Mr. Smith and everybody in the Navy for being a great partner and supporting our office, and look forward to talking to you guys in the future. And please, just a side note, we are prepping for our training week. We're going to have an exciting virtual event. A lot of folks are really putting their hats in there to make it a great event. So again, I applaud everybody, and again, be safe and God bless, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar event.